So because we are not hands-on involved, and because the situation's pretty dire, and again because Russia is involved, and it's not exactly like the US
Yeah.
relationship with Russia is super hot. Going to Ukraine sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
But how was that?
It was terrifying. I will admit it. So yeah, in my role, I definitely end up in some interesting countries and with interesting, you know, a lot of people with guns and stuff like that. But this one was weird because it's a no-fly zone. The whole country's a no-fly zone right
Hmm.
now, and the
Hmm.
State Department is pretty adamant about no one should be going in there. And but there are aid workers on the ground. There's some
Of course.
diplomatic activity on the ground too. So my goal is just to get in there and meet with different groups and see what's happening. And then when I go back to Congress, and I've since gone back to Capitol Hill since then, and build support for this stuff, I can answer their questions better. Was sort of the game plan. So yeah, the logistics of it is I flew out to Warsaw, Poland, and then took a night train into Kiev, which is like an 18-hour train ride, and it's kind of weird and surreal because you're just on this kind of older Soviet era style train,
Oh yeah.
and it's just kind of clunking along and a lot of stops. And then every time it stops, there's all these banging noises. And so once the minute you're in Ukraine, you're free target for missiles because the missiles are hitting anywhere and everywhere in the country. And as you go along too, you'll see like a bridge next to you that got blown up by a missile. And
Yeah.
on the windows of the train, they put this plastic, like basically like saran wrap. And the idea is when there's an explosion outside, it won't send glass flying into people's faces if they have
Oh,
this
that's
saran wrap
good.
type stuff on
Oh, good.
them. So, like the minute you're
Wow.
on the train, you're like, I'm entering a very kind of scary situation. So, that was weird. So you're clunking along for 18 hours. Half of that is nighttime, the beginning part. And then once you're in, you're starting to see some of the damage once daytime
Yeah.
comes to light. And there is just a whole weird thing in this situation with the missiles are just hitting anywhere and everywhere. So a typical war, there's like a front line where a lot of the fighting's going on, and here it'll be like missile lobbed on the far side of the country, and they'll strike a city, and then they'll hit here and there. And Kiev, where I was going, it's probably like a 5-hour drive. I think I could be wrong with that
Mhm.
from the front line at the time, but it's still been hit a lot. There's been a lot of train stations struck there, a lot of hospitals struck there. From my hotel when I got there, there's this giant Samsung building, like a high tower, that had been blown up, and the window shattered. And so you're definitely in it once you get there for sure. And there's that was a weird vibe of like just knowing no matter where you are, you're not really safe. And then the other one is the nuclear factor because you're
Of course.
dealing with a a president that just invaded a this country, and that person has the nuclear capability to blow it all up if he's
Yeah.
not all there or whatever. So that's another kind of weird cloud that hangs over the entire place while you're there. Of like just any given moment, you don't know what might happen.
Yeah, and they were
Um,
occupying Chernobyl at one point,
yeah,
literally.
they were.
So
Yeah, absolutely took
that
over.
that was terrifying to me
Yeah,
in a very safe place in New Jersey in the United
yeah.
States. So I can only fathom being much closer. Did it feel like as you're going through on the train, I don't know, are you able to see out the window? And are you able to?
So most of the night I couldn't, although there's one point where like they shined the lights from the train onto the forest, and
Okay.
I don't know what that was about. If it was like an area that was prone to attacks or issues, I'm really not sure. But that was kind of a weird little eerie deal where it was like just all of a sudden the forest just slightly lit up, and yeah, so I don't know what that was about. But most of the night you don't really see much. You just hear like the kind of constant banging of the metal from the train.
Right.
Um, and then yeah, it has a real you also know you're going into a situation where you can't get out of very easily because it's not like if
Yeah.
there's an emergency you can get flown out and go to a safe place. You're going to be on a very long train or bus ride to get out if you get injured or anything happens. So that part's kind of weird.